Good morning, everybody. I'm Easton, the new youth intern this summer, or I guess I'm not so new anymore. If we haven't got a chance to meet, I'd love to talk to you, all of you guys. So if you see me walking around on Sunday morning and you want to pull me aside and introduce yourself to me, that'd be super helpful for me, and I would really appreciate that. Get to know a little more about you guys, and you can get to know about me. Jason gave us a great sermon about Rahab this past Sunday. Talked about how Rahab, who was a Canaanite prostitute, still had faith in God, and through that faith was used by God as to be an integral part in the Bible story. Jason said on Sunday that faith unleashes the power of God in your life, and I just love that phrasing that he used. Faith unleashes the power of God in your life, because God wants to use all of us. We just have to have the faith to let him. I think that this is something that a lot of us know. It's not a huge shock, but it's something that we tend to subconsciously doubt. We tell ourselves that we've made too many mistakes in our life, and that our life isn't put together enough. It's not in good enough shape right now. We're not a good public speaker maybe, or we don't know how to teach. Maybe we don't know enough about the Bible or God for God to use us. But we never see God place those requirements on the people that he used. Just look at Rahab. Rahab hadn't lived a very righteous life up to this story, and yet God still used her. Now, I don't know if Rahab was a great public speaker or a great teacher, but it doesn't matter in this story. She didn't do any public speaking or teaching in this story, and God still used her. And Rahab obviously couldn't have known much about what we call the Bible, because the vast majority of it hadn't been written yet. In fact, Rahab didn't know anything about the Hebrews' traditions, their rituals, or their lifestyle. But we don't see the two spies asking Rahab for help only after they teach her the rituals and Hebrew traditions. They knew God could and would use her regardless of her social status, regardless of her abilities or her talents, or even regardless of how much she knew about God. My favorite part of the Rahab story is just how relatable it is to our lives. We are Rahab in this story. None of us have lived a perfect life, a righteous life. All of us have regrets, and yet God wants to use us, and God wants to use us now. He doesn't have any hoops for us to jump through. He doesn't need us to learn more about Hebrew culture or the Bible before he uses us. He doesn't need us to become great public speakers or Bible teachers before he uses us. These are all good things to be, good things to do, but the story of Rahab shows us that having faith, just having faith is enough. We all have the potential to be used by God, and we're all called to let him unleash that power into our lives. But it's also important to realize that God didn't need Rahab. Rahab's faith helped move along the biblical story, yeah. And Rahab played an incredibly valuable role in the story of Israel and the story of God. But the story of God would not have come screeching to a halt if Rahab had been unfaithful. God always prevails. Rahab got the privilege to take part in the expansive story of God. And it was Rahab's life with God in it was better. When the walls of Jericho came crumbling down, Rahab and her family survived. Like Rahab, we also get the chance to take part in the expansive story of God. I can't promise that God will send two ancient Hebrew spies to your house that you have to hide from the government. But there is still work to be done, people to be helped, people to love, injustices to be fought. And also, like Rahab, our lives are much better when we do it with God. The gospel offers us true peace and rest and joy, but it takes faith. So like Rahab, let's take that leap of faith. No matter what your past or present looks like, no matter how worthy or unworthy you feel to be used by God, let's let him unleash his power into our lives.